Hey guys, Chris here. I want to do a video today about enmeshment and talk about the likely things that you're going to go through detangling from enmeshment, how your life begins to change, and and the benefits, of course, and why this is an absolute must that you learn to go through it now. If you're procrastinating on doing a therapy session or really digging into this topic in particular and starting to set boundaries with parents, starting to experience it and embrace it and entangle it and see it for what it is, the better, the sooner the better. Because eventually you will begin to see that you were trapped on some level, and why you don't have all the things that you want will start to become clearer. So some of the things that you'll begin to notice, particularly with friendships. So friendships, a lot of your, without you realizing now, a lot of your friendships will be some sort of enmeshment. Not all of them. With some you might even think, oh, we have good clear boundaries here, but with some other people you're kind of entangled. And these are the relationships where you kind of have this love-hate relationship. Even this sort of thought you have of, oh, screw this person, I'm cutting this person out of my life. So you kind of go through this, and then you then pick up the phone and you have a 3 or 4 hour conversation with them. So this is again similar to the relationship with the parent. So as you work through the enmeshment, you'll begin to see that other people are enmeshed on this journey, and you'll begin to see the differences, and maybe start to even attract people who aren't enmeshed. You'll start to be gravitated more to unenmeshed people. Or you'll be sort of trying to create the enmeshed dynamics with certain relationships, and maybe even people will start pushing you back. So this is all good for your development, and this generally is what happens with a therapist as well. But you will notice your relationships will change, and unfortunately, from some of the people I've heard about on this journey, as with myself, a lot of these relationships will end, which can be quite scary. But at the same time, as you start growing, you'll start to see people differently. As you become unenmeshed, you really do see the world differently, and you see the what needs you're getting from other people and what they're also giving to you. You might be over giving to some people, you might be over listening to their problems, and also likely, it's the polar opposite. Normally, what we see out there, and the things that trigger us, we're also doing to other people a lot of the time. So if some people are telling you all of their problems and you're just listening and you can never get a word in, it's very likely that you're also creating a similar dynamic with someone else. Maybe it's even just one person, but one person is enough. So once you become aware of that, always starts with you. So once you become aware of that, that will also change. Other things, so the relationships are the main one, and the good news is that there's other great relationships out there. You don't need to become too attached. You're your own person. Obviously relationships are great, and some people are just with you your whole life and great lifelong friends. But the difficulty with enmeshment is some of these just all of a sudden quickly come off the rails. Financially is normally always a good one as well with enmeshment, because of the attachment to the parents, and maybe even taking money from parents, and also maybe not having boundaries around your private life. And private life is normally with friends, and also relationships with a partner who you're dating, but also financially as well. There seems to be this interest, and maybe this even need to have money given from parents, kind of creating that parent-child dynamic. So again, it's not taking the bait. If your parent just offers you $5,000 and you feel like you're in a bit of a hole, it can seem like an amazing bonus, but in a way you kind of fell for the bait, because there'll be something in that. Of course, there's certain circumstances. Sometimes it is just people want to give, but you can also, not take the money. As you take the money, you become reliant. Maybe you then take your foot off the gas, and the money gradually, kind of like winning a lottery, and the money just gradually goes. Remember, you want to be making your own money. You want to be taking care of your own finances. You know, you want to be the provider. You know, if you want to have your own family, you have to provide for yourself, and you know, get to this state of abundance as well. Know that, you know, which I myself and know other people who are getting to this point now. Like if your job or everything falls apart, you kind of have this abundance mentality that you will find money another way, and it's so much better than being in fear. You know, the fear comes from that parent-child dynamic of, you know, you can't take care of yourself, and your parent might be reaffirming that, and they do reaffirm that by giving you the money. Of course, on birthdays and Christmas and all this sort of stuff is fine, but when it's just out of the blue, like, oh, you know, I just want to give you this money, sometimes it can come from love. But I would say check in with that, and you will find once you stop taking it, your money will tend to skyrocket. And also with enmeshment, as a guy as well, as you become more attractive to women as well. You'll become more in your masculine power, which is obviously becomes more attractive, and it feels better to you. It feels like, this is how I should be. You know, if you're entangled with your mother, it's likely that you've taken on a lot more of the feminine, which you will later see can be highly beneficial, obviously, to being a very empathic person in touch with their feelings. But the main thing with men is want to get more into that masculine. You know, that's what attracts the opposite. Masculine attracted to feminine, feminine attracted to masculine. And you might think the feminine is always having that is an advantage, but you know, you just need to think about the other way around. You know, if a woman becomes more and more masculine, are you attracted to them? Yeah, and mesh men generally can be, because maybe because their mum was quite had to play those masculine roles as well, because of the absence of the father. But generally, you know that that's not really what you want. It can feel a bit disrespectful. You know, you feel like I should be the one making the decisions. You know, rather than the you know, giving all of the power away to you know, women to make decisions. You can't make decisions for yourself, ultimately, is what that comes down to. And you zone out, and you don't take responsibility. So, you know, and as a guy, you think about, yeah, you are attracted to the real, like, feminine women, you know, and as you know, so that's what your goal should be, is to become more and more masculine, and be aware of where you want, and put your hand up and look to improve. You know, if you're not very good at making decisions, you're not very good at making money, looking after your finances, you know, just accept it and look to work through it, and you know, being open, asking questions, you know, look to other men and learn from other men. So this whole, generally speaking, a lot of men in the self-improvement are on this masculine identity search and learning. They love the gym, learning about, like, fighting, you know, martial arts, making more money, learning new skills. And for some men, you know, this was, you know, always, they had it from an early age. You know, they learn about this from an early age. For some men, it's playing a later catch up. But this is all part of enmeshment, and you will find more comfort in being in the masculine. And for a lot of the spiritual growth, there will be a lot of feminine stuff that you do, you know. Now, I'm not saying if you consider yoga feminine, but various you know, ceremonies, and a lot of these spiritual kind of things, where you go to a cacao ceremony or a tea ceremony, or some sort of sound healing. But I think what's important is to not allow that to most of your time. You know, most of the time should still be focused on the masculine stuff, should be focused on, you know, looking after, going to the gym, or, you know, working on your purpose, learning skills, reading, this sort of stuff, and being more in that. You'll also, finally, probably on this, because I don't want to keep this video too long, but you'll want to find more, like, being less a victim. And mesh people normally are the biggest victims, because they feel trapped and they feel like there's no way out. So they're more likely to be fighting with the government, or more aware of the problems in the world, which, you know, is very clear to some people, particularly empathic people. Obsession with conspiracy theories and all these things, which could be true, but it's not really worth investing too much of your time there unless it's for something really beneficial. So the more you step out of that victim mentality, as you start to unenmesh, you start to unenmesh, you know, with the world, with this side of society. You know, it's fighting against the parent, rebelling against the parent. It's the same as rebelling against the government, rebelling against society. You might not agree with everything that's being put out there, but you generally step into an individuated person. You go, I'm going to walk on my own path. You know, I'm going to make the world a better place because I'm going to do what I want to do. You know, I'm going to create a great place to be, a community, a bunch of people. I'm going to go out and live with those people. With this, you know, I'm happy. I don't really want to fit into society and the world and my family. You know, my family is that love-hate relationship, like with all of your friendships. And a lot of your friendships might be like that as well. People being victims, you know, people, you are the average of the 5 people you hang around with. Yeah, if people feel they're victims, they're struggling financially, you know, you are. So this is all the mindset. These are, you know, it's exciting times. Enmeshment is and the journey is very difficult. It can take years to sort of really untangle it all, but you should be going in the right direction. And, you know, it could take a lot, you know, almost all of your life, but at least you're going in the right direction. You're learning, you're becoming your own person, you're finding out more about yourself, letting go of these bad habits and bringing in good ones. So that's what I want to say on this video. That's some of the stuff you're likely to go through, and yeah, hopefully see you on the next video.